Alright, what's up YouTube everybody? It is Awkward Ginger, who is also formerly known as Swimmer 2068 on here. Yes, I know some of my other videos will say Swimmer 2068, but trust me, this is me. I just changed my YouTube name to fit my Younow name, so it makes it a lot easier. And I'm also going to say, I am sorry, this is going to be a lot longer video than normal. But it's because yesterday was National Signing Day. So, as y'all know, I am recording this on Thursday, February the 7th. So, yeah. So, with National Signing Day, it's when all the up-and-coming, the rest of the football prospects who did not sign letters of intent at early signing day, got to sign their letters of intent and announced where they were going to go play college football. So, I will be covering the Tennessee 2019 signing class of all the guys we will be receiving that, if they're not already on campus, that'll be here this summer. And I will also cover the 2 transfers Tennessee got in who are on campus as well. So, just go ahead and start things off. I will start out with the 2 high-profile transfers Tennessee got, just because there's 2 of them, it'll go by much easier. But first one, it was a former Army All-American, Aubrey Solomon, from Lee County High School in Leesburg, Georgia. Formerly known as the 23rd player in the nation, number 2 defensive tackle, and 2 player in the state of Georgia. This former 5-star is coming in about 6'3", 290, 295 to add to Tennessee's D-line, which is a big get that we need after losing 3 starters, and then our 4th guy up was like our main backup, was the 4 main guys, and that we lost them due to graduation. So now it's coded like with a lot more younger guys there. So having Solomon, and granted he gets this appeal with NCAA with his transfer, he might be eligible immediately. We need him like out there. You got a guy his size, you know. I see him filling in as like a bigger D-end in there, or like a tackle in some areas. I don't see him being our nose tackle because I don't think he's that big enough to be nose tackle, but I could see him being a little bit bigger D-end in this system and helping out the Vols right there. If he gets this appeal, it's going to be needed because Solomon will be ready to work. Plus, you know, him coming from Michigan, he was with a bunch of good D-line guys up there, and as him being a Georgia boy, being able to get him going to his home state of Georgia, I consider that a big win for my Vols right there. You know, we always want to see good players coming in, and the fact that he had such good connections to this staff shows, because there was at least one of UT staff member on each of the staffs that was recruiting him out of high school. So there's a lot of connections he had with UT, which I was so happy when we got him. This was a guy I was actually not expecting to get. I was not thinking of it, and when I saw it, it was just like a breath of fresh air, you know, seeing a big-name guy like him coming in. And the next high-profile transfer we got, D'Angelo Gibbs, you could say safety, wide receiver, he's an athlete, from Grayson High School in Loganville, Georgia, who also played at Peachtree Ridge for a little bit because he was teammates with his cousin Nigel Warrior and also Vol teammate Balin Buchanan. Nigel is coming out of high school and Under Armour All-American, 4 or 5. Like, it was always like borderline 4 or 5-star, depending on who you ask. I'm going off 24/7 Sport Composite. So according to them, he was a 4-star safety, number 49 in the nation, 4th safety in the nation, and also 6th best in the state of Georgia, who signed with Georgia. And then, you know, didn't see the field much in his time at Georgia, and now he's here on Rocky Top for a new change, and he's going to start out at wide receiver here, you know, a change of position, which, you know, could be good for him. And adding Gibbs is good. Good size on this kid. You always want to see what, like, kids like this can do. He was a baller in high school, and so you know he could do good on DB. He was also a good wide receiver. Plus, you get a 6'2", 205-pound frame on this kid. That's a big wide receiver right there. That's a guy who could really fight some people. So, adding Gibbs to the wide receiver room, considering we're about to lose several wide receivers to this graduation year, is going to be good. Like, after this coming season, we'll have several big guys go out. Big names, like our 1 through 5 guys are almost gone. So, we need that to fill that wide receiver room back up. So adding Gibbs in and having him now here, like I said, with Solomon, working with Coach Fitzgerald in that strength program to get them acclimated to Tennessee's conditioning is perfect. So now that I've spoke on the 2 transfers, it's time for me to move on to the 2019 signees. And I will start out by doing with the early enrollees, like I always do, who are currently on campus, working out right now with the team and getting ready for spring practice. So, kicking off all the early enrollees, you got former Grayson High School standout, offensive tackle, Wanye Morris, 6'6", 315-pounder. Former Under Armour All-American, number 28 in the nation, sixth best offensive tackle. I'm sorry, I stumbled on my words a bit. And 5th best player in the state of Georgia. Wanye is going to be, I think, a front runner on the O-line this coming season. I see him as potential to step in at offensive tackle and stepping up, kind of like what Trey Smith did as a starter, as a true freshman. You get a big body like Wanye. You get somebody also as physically strong as this kid. That's somebody you need on your O-line immediately to play. With just the way his strength is. Because when I was watching signing day, I was luckily able to talk to VFL, former Vol running back, Jabrari Davis. And Jabrari said, hey, it showed one of Wanye's highlights. Hey, that was against my old high school. And you see Wanye just flatten the kid. He's like, dude's going to be a beast. So you see, what these guys are going to, I get it. They haven't stepped on the college field yet, and sometimes everybody hypes them up a lot. But I feel like Wanye's hype, it could really be there. Just seeing the type of athlete he is and how physically gifted he is, his hype might really be true of where he's at. The only thing is, I think, I could be wrong. I think he might play up a little too high sometimes because, he can use his strength in high school to overpower him. In college, I know the coaches will be able to work with him to have him play just, a little lower down. So, in almost maybe a little bit better stance because otherwise some of those D linemen will be able to come up under him and take him out, off his feet almost. But still, getting Wanye here early is great because that's going to help his conditioning. He'll get used to the workouts. And I really do see him working with first team in spring practice at offensive tackle. Or heck, maybe try him out at guard like Trey Smith did. See how that works at first. But, I really see Wanye, in my opinion, starting out at left tackle. Just because that's an area we need since right now Trey Smith, a big Tennessee boy, on the O-line, we don't know his whole story if he's going to be able to come back due to health reasons. We all are praying for Trey every day, hoping that he is better and then he makes the best decision for his life and his future because he knows all Vol Nation supports him no matter what he does. But so, just in case Trey can't be that left tackle holder, I would put Wanye right there at left tackle as a starter. So only time will tell of what he's able to do. Next up, it's talking about Hardin University High School in Charlotte, North Carolina. Running back / linebacker, about, 6'3" or 6'1", depending on who you ask. I've seen some say 6'1", some say 6'3", but about anywhere from that range. 240-pounder Quavaris Crouch. Literally a massive human being. Great running back. Great, ability to play linebacker right there. He is a physical, gifted kid. The former Army All-American comes in as the number 61 player in the nation, number 3 athlete, and number 1 player in the state of North Carolina. So I chalk that up as a big win for Coach Pruitt, and also Coach Brian Niedermeyer, who was his primary recruiter, who was able to go into North Carolina and sway him away from schools like Clemson, Michigan, even though Michigan is nowhere near North Carolina. Clemson's a lot closer with it being in South Carolina. But being able to really sweep the momentum our way that last minute, Crouch is going to be needed at linebacker. He said, he might try to play both in college, but he wants to play linebacker because he says, if I want a longer future with football, linebacker is what would be best for me. And you've seen a lot of people praising him for that. I think that's a smart choice because, as we know, running backs aren't always the longest lifespan for NFL players. That's just how it is with the game. But, I've seen his highlight tape. It's more running back highlights. But still, the way he plays running back, he's just going to be just as physical at linebacker. And that's an area Tennessee needs help in. That middle linebacker spot, he should get some substantial playing time. I don't expect him to come out and be a starter, per se. But definitely that's a kid that will get some good playing time as a true freshman right there. And that's a guy we need and we're going to want to see develop into another great linebacker like, Al Wilson, Kurt Maggitt, A.J. Johnson. We want to see a kid who can have productive years like some of those linebackers Tennessee has had and many more of the greats that I know I missed. And I do not have time to recite all of their names. But next up, on the third early enrollee out of 10, we had, 12 counting the transfers. Ramel Keaton, Marietta High School, Marietta, Georgia wide receiver. The 6'3", 190-pound receiver is a big-bodied receiver, He's got great hands, great ability to run routes, literally can go up over anybody and catch a ball. So he's going to be one of those guys we want as a mismatch. So those corners are possibly going to hate going up against him because it could be mismatched big time. You get him in that weight room. I see Ramel, being kind of an early impact guy as well. I would definitely say he could be one of our younger receivers that we might see step up a lot more. Just because, you get that frame on him, you work with him enough, they can easily get him about 200 by the season, 6'3", 200. And you're looking at a good, solid kid right there. And also, Ramel was the 111th player in the nation, 17th wide receiver, 13 in the state of Georgia. And also, I'm going to go ahead and say, I'm sorry if I don't go over everybody's, ranking. It's just going to be, I'm trying to get through this as quick as I can, too. But anyway, stop getting off topic. But Ramel, yeah, I see him as a good wide receiver. He's going to be one of those guys who, when we throw some of those 50-50 balls, he's going to be one of those guys we want to go after it because just of his physicality and his work ethic and then his ability to run the routes that he did at Marietta, it shows he's going to be a good receiver. And next up, another Georgia native, Hillsgrove High School in Powder Springs, Georgia, safety Jalen Tank McCullough. Yes, Tank is his nickname. The 6', 195-pound safety is a 4-star safety. Literally a hard hitter. Watching his highlights, you'll see why he has the nickname Tank. And for me, my opinion on Tank is, I see him coming in. He will be able to give all of our safeties a good run for their money. And maybe him and Nigel start, maybe him and Theo Jackson split role at safety, him and Flowers, this point, who knows? LaBruza, who got moved over from corner to safety. We're starting to get that much more competitive depth in those areas. These kids, their spots are not going to be guaranteed to them, which is something that is needed here. And I cannot wait to see what McCullough can do. This is a kid I've been so happy about getting just because of how physical he is. He's a physically gifted athlete, and you can tell he is ready to come in and work. And I cannot wait to watch him this spring, during spring practices and spring game, because I think McCullough is a good chance to be a big-name safety in that defensive backfield. Now, next up, it's time for me to talk about Eric Gray, the running back from Memphis, Tennessee, Lausanne Collegiate School. I know I probably said that school wrong. I am very sorry for anybody who might go there and watch this video. Or if you're Eric Gray and if you somehow stumble on this and watch this, I am very sorry for mispronouncing your high school's name. I am very bad with this pronunciation sometimes. But this 5'10", 200-pound running back, you know, four-star running back, Army All-American, was a former Michigan commit. But then when he started hearing a lot more from Pruitt and them, started coming on visits, and we were able to flip him from Michigan. So, you know, that was something good I love about this kid. And, you know, that he's like, he trusts Coach Pruitt and them, you know. He's ready to come in and work. You can hear it in him, like when he spoke to the media about being an early enrollee, or just to the people asking like how it's been so far. He's like, you know, I'm ready to work. And he's already talked about how he can't help just imagine what it's going to be like running through the tee in his first game, like going through the checkerboard. It's like he's just, you know, he's ready. And keeping this kid in state is so good. Now, I hope this doesn't get a lot of Vol fans' expectations up. But for me, watching this kid, he reminds me of Alvin Kamara. That all-purpose back, can do it all, can go into the slot, can catch the football, run really good in space, you know. You got a guy like Eric Gray, that gift, that speed he has, you're going to want to use him early. Plus, that's the way, you know, Tim Jordan, Ty Chandler, Carlin Fields and me, like, you know, those guys aren't getting pounded on all season long at running back, and it just being those three and having to battle through injuries. We'll have at least a little bit more help at running back for those guys, just to make things so much better for them. But yeah, no, I see Eric as being a good chance to help out early. He'll be one of the guys that, you know, I don't want us to redshirt, because we're going to need Eric. We need him just like we need everybody, really, to go ahead and step up and start competing for that role. But, you know, yeah, Eric Gray's a kid I'm really excited to see. And, yeah, if he really does become like this Kamara 2.0, it's going to be fun watching him during his college career. And then now, the next early enrollee we have, Tyus Fields, Huff High School in Cornelius, North Carolina at corner. The 5'10", 195-pound corner, you know, a little bit smaller on corner, but physical. Physical corner. Gifted. Could also played free safety in high school with also some corner. So I see him fitting into like the nickel spot here at UT, just because he's got great ability to attack the ball wherever the ball's being thrown. So yeah, that's the whole good thing. We will see how everything's going with this. And hopefully, like Tyus, you know, he came here. He had to have a little surgery. So he's looking like, unfortunately, will miss spring practice, but he will be back for fall camp. But at least having him here now, being able to start to learn the system and rehabbing with our trainers, doing what he can do, is something good for this kid, just to start getting into that college life and the situation. So, yeah, that's what I cannot wait for, to see what Tyus can do. Another North Carolina native from around my hometown. So it's always cool seeing kids like this coming up to Rocky Top. And I can't wait to see what this kid can do. He's definitely a baller. Definitely a kid that we need in that DB field that is going to push all of our defensive backs. The next early enrollee we have tight end, 6'5", 240-pound, Cartersville High School, Cartersville, Georgia native, Jackson Lowe. And yes, I said Cartersville, which might sound familiar. That's where Trevor Lawrence was the quarterback for, who is now the freshman quarterback at Clemson, who led them to the national championship. So this kid, I mean, physically gifted blocker. In my opinion, little underrated at tight end, maybe. He got at least a little bit of credit later on in the season. But, you know, I think Lowe has a good chance to come in and start playing early, because with just the physicality and aggressiveness he plays off that block, yeah, he's proven he's a decent pass catcher. But, we've seen his blocking abilities, too. That's going to help out so much right there. Because we need those blockers to be able to help up for our run game, our pass game, when we need the tight end to block. So, yeah, that's what I can't wait for about Jackson. Just getting another guy his size in here, like a guy his size in here that early is good. Because, his frame is almost going to remind me of Ethan Wolf when Wolf first got here. So seeing a kid with him, I cannot wait to see what he develops into after Coach Fitzgerald gets him for like a full year. Because looking at some of our guys now, Coach Fitzgerald has done a massive wonders to these kids' bodies and framework. So yeah, it's going to be good to see what these kids can do. And I really think Jackson does have a good chance to step in and possibly be the number 2, number 3 tight end, depending on how the roster shifts and how he does in spring, because it's just only time will tell at this point. But yeah, Jackson's going to be a guy that we're going to need to step up. Next up, and I will say this, one of my favorite guys Tennessee has signed and early enrolled, Brian Maurer, Ocala, Florida, Westport High School, the 6'3", 200-pound pro-style quarterback, who Maurer was the only one at his high school that could really help put up some numbers. His high school team may not have won. I might not be giving his other teammates enough credit, though, too. I am very sorry. But from what I watched, Maurer was definitely a baller right there, Kid knows how to rip a football. Was the 23rd invite to the Elite 11 semifinals, was the 12th invite to the opening finals, which was where the Elite in the Elite 11 finals, or it's all kind of roped together with the Elite 11. The 23rd to when they all went out to Cali. Then he was the 12th invite to the opening finals, where he went to compete, and he finished 5th. Out of all the quarterbacks that went there, they rated him as the 5th best quarterback, according to Trent Dilfer and that staff. So Maurer is one of those kids you can tell plays with a chip on his shoulder. Underrated quarterback in my opinion. This kid has a cannon for an arm. If I'm not mistaken, I recall him bombing at 63 yards in the deep ball contest at the opening finals. So kid's got a cannon for an arm. And I cannot wait to see what Maurer does. Adding him into the room with Garantano and Shrout, that's really going to push both of those guys to become better QBs as well, and all work to where I'm ready to see what all the 3 QBs look like in spring practice. It's going to be so fun. Now having Jim Chaney here to help with the quarterback development, it's going to be good. I think Chaney's going to work wonders with these guys. And even touching back on Ramel Keaton, having, T. Martin back working with a guy like him and all of our other receivers, that's going to be good for these guys. You get 2 great coaches from them and developers. Yeah, I cannot wait to see what guys like Maurer does this spring. And, who knows? He could be the quarterback of the future. He might not be. But at this point, only time will tell. But I do see Maurer having a good chance to make an impact as a Vol. If he develops properly and they give him the right time and everything, and you put him behind the right O-line with the weapons around him, yeah, Maurer is going to be a special quarterback. Next up, another Georgia native. A lot of Georgia natives. But North Gwinnett High School in Sewanee, Georgia, Warren Burrell, the corner who is 6 foot, 180 pounds. Burrell is one of those long, lengthy corners who I really like. You like seeing some of those lengthy corners to match up with those big, tall receivers. And thing is, with Burrell, he didn't have a huge, loud senior year. It was quiet because nobody wanted to throw his way. You look at a kid like him as a junior who, it was I've read anywhere from 6 to 10 interceptions he had with 70-something tackles as a corner, hanging up there. And so, all about 20-something passes deflected, Not many quarterbacks are going to constantly throw your way when you're helping, you're actually the one knocking it down and doing all of that. people stop throwing your way. Burrell is proven to be a lockdown corner in high school. Will he be able to in college? Who knows? I really hope so. But I think that's good to get a kid like him in there who has that work ethic, because he will push Alontae Taylor and Bryce Thompson, who are Tennessee's starting corners, to keep their spots, and you will see a lot of work from guys like him. So I can't wait to see what Warren does. Getting, again, a corner with his length and just his awareness of where the ball can be, that's something you want to see. Definitely got to add a little bit of weight to his frame, just like you do with everybody who first gets to college. But hey, and some of the weight, like for some people, it's converting some of that bad weight to the good weight. But again, that's with almost every prospect you see nowadays. So me just saying, yeah, I want to see Burrell add some weight before he makes a huge impact, it's not really anything bad. But I do see Burrell being able to make a step in early and giving a lot of our other corners a run for their money as one of those younger guys ready to come in and work for sure. And now the last early enrollee here I'm here to talk about, Chris Akporogane, who played at IMG Academy, but also started at Kings Academy here in around Seymour, Tennessee. An offensive lineman, 6'4", 295, 300-pounder. I could see Chris, maybe he's a tackle right now, but I could see him kicking over to guard, like kicking inside a little bit. And this kid, very raw talent. Hasn't played a whole lot of college football, came over from Nigeria at 15 and started playing football, and was he's one of those guys with the right time and coaching staff, you can develop him into a phenomenal offensive lineman. He's one of those kids, I don't see him peaking for another 10, 15 years, hitting what his peak talent would be. Give or take, a few years with that, but I think all of you know what I'm saying. It's not like some of those kids who peak by their junior, senior year and just kind of stay where they're at, but stay good enough to get to the next level, or when they make it to the next level, peak after 2-3 years and then don't really get much better and just kind of stay where they're at. Chris is one of those guys who is really going to need his get developed, and I'm glad he's here early to help out with that O-line, since O-line was Tennessee's weakest point last year in my opinion, and it's something we need a lot of help on. And I'm glad we're getting the help that we are this year with it. So seeing what Chris is going to do in the spring, it's going to be really good. Seeing him getting in that weight room and, getting all of them getting their butts kicked by Coach Fitzgerald is something good you want to see already. So I can't wait to see Akporogane working with the Vols. And, I think he's going to be a special kid. With him, Wanye, and the other linemen we signed, who knows? You might see a starting 5 from the same signing class one of these days. And now, moving to everybody who has signed their letters of intent but did not early enroll. Starting off, Darnell Wright, Huntington High School, Huntington, West Virginia, the 6'6", 320-pound offensive tackle. This 5-star offensive tackle literally is the front, right now, Tennessee's highest-rated signee. It was bouncing with him and Wanye up there, always holding down the top 2 spots. Now Wanye dropped. Darnell sitting at the number 2 tackle. But again, another physically gifted offensive lineman who I could see Darnell, even though he's not getting here till summer, I see him potentially stepping in and also, being one who really competes for playing time early. Who knows? He might start at right tackle as a freshman. You just never know at this point. But Darnell is one of those kids who, he looks like he's a special talent. He's a special athlete with the ability he has to do. There's a little, like they say, everybody has those small things they need to work on. But I think Darnell, again, I've told people this before, I could see him and Morris Wanye, starting at tackle for the Vols this year, both of them, because you don't find that many physically gifted offensive linemen like this every year. And when you do, it's always something special you can see with a lot of kids like this. Some it may take a year to develop, but some they can just step in and you can see their special talent right away. And I think Vols will see that with Darnell. Next up is a prospect I wanted to talk about. I'm still so ecstatic we got him. I think the hype of us landing him still has not left me. De La Salle High School's Henry To'oTo'o, linebacker. 6'2", 230-pound linebacker. Henry is a gifted linebacker who, for the longest time, it looked like he was going to Bama. Then it looked like, us. Then it looked like Bama again. Then it looked like Washington. So this was a kid you could never really tell where he was going. But I really love what Tennessee's getting with Henry right here with To'oTo'o. And also, I know everybody's just going to be like, rest in peace, Bob Kessling, with trying to say his last name. But yeah, no, with To'oTo'o, I see him coming into that linebacker. He's going to remind me of like what the coaches talked about with J.J. Peterson. One of those linebackers that can play any of those 4 linebacker spots that we need in our 3-4 system. I see him a little bit as outside, inside, like maybe I want to say strong side linebacker, and middle linebacker area. Not as much the weak side linebacker. But who knows? I could be wrong. But I like him a little bit more, maybe pushing for the middle linebacker spot with that size right now. But who knows? We could maybe use a little bit more help at outside linebacker too, and you use him there. Only time will tell when this kid gets here this summer. But getting a speedy linebacker like him with those measurables, you don't find that many of them. And just being able to go out to the West Coast and be able to bring a guy over to the SEC with that type of talent. And De La Salle has usually been able to produce some good athletes. So that's why I'm really excited about this kid, because, if you look at history of De La Salle, there's been several good football prospects to come out of there. And I might agree with some people who have said this. Henry could potentially be one of, if not the best prospect to come out of De La Salle in the last few years. You just look at that. He could have that potential to be known as that. It'll all depend on what he does in college. But yeah, no, I could see To'oTo'o really stepping in and helping out that linebacker core very, very early. And I cannot wait to get him here to Rocky Top. I was so glad when he signed yesterday. Next up, a kid that, is somebody that been our longest commit out of everybody that's been committed. Committed actually the day after signing day last year. Jackson Lampley, Montgomery Bell Academy in Nashville, Tennessee, 6'4", 300-pound offensive lineman who is set to play, projected as a guard in college. Thing about Jackson, he's a legacy kid, I know that term was more from the old coaching staff, but this is a kid his dad, Brad Lampley, played here at UT. So, seeing a guy like him here and being able to now come here, he's, like he said, he's grown up a Tennessee fan his whole life. He's always dreamed of putting the orange and white on with representing Tennessee and his home state for Rocky Top ever since he was a little boy. He always dreamed of it. So, seeing us being able to get a kid like that who has really wanted to come in and play here, I really like keeping kids like them home, because it works. And this 4-star offensive lineman, I think he has a good potential to step in, compete early, for a spot on guard. Heck, I might like to see Lampley at center, Back up Brandon Kennedy. He could potentially work really good on the inside, because I like that size frame work you got on him. Maybe 5-10 more pounds he'll gain and convert it to muscle. But, I think Lampley's got a good shot to step in early. And, maybe not, I could be wrong, though. I don't think he'll crack the starting lineup first. But, I see him at least being in that rotation early on, because that's a kid we need right there at offensive line. Oh. The next kid I'm going to talk about, one of my, again, I love them all. I love everybody who wants to be a Vol. They're all my favorites. But this has got to be one of my favorite signees. Roman Harrison, Bainbridge, Georgia, Bainbridge High School. 6'2", 235-pound line. Weak side defensive end, outside linebacker, who is going to be one of our pass rushing linebackers. Now get this. Roman played nose tackle in high school because he was the biggest on their D-line. But they're projecting him as a linebacker. This is one of the most gifted kids I have seen. One of the most physically gifted kids. One of the most underrated guys who flew under the radar for so long. And Tennessee was able to spot that and wanted him. He committed. He stayed strong with his commitment. A lot of schools still didn't seem to show interest in him. And looking at it, Roman has one of those, he's one of those guys that's going to potentially come back to bite other teams on the ass, you know, for not coming to get him. So, yeah, I think adding Roman Harrison is something good for this Tennessee defense because it is something that we need. Right there helping out that linebacker core, and I just can't wait to see this kid in there. He's a special talent, special athlete, very gifted, and I'm ready for it. And I'm starting to speed up a little bit. I don't want to make this like an hour-long video. I'm trying to get about 45 minutes in for it. So, again, if I don't talk about everybody as much, I'm sorry. Next up, Lackawanna Community College. But he is originally from Maryland. Savion Williams, defensive tackle, 6'4", 300-pound D-tackle. A good JUCO D-tackle I like with this kid right here, you know. He's definitely going to be a big impact right there. He's going to be one of those older guys to come in, played the JUCO, and we want to see him develop. Like, we want to see him play early, helping out guys like Emmett Gooden, John Mincy, Greg Emerson, some of our younger guys out there. So, I really think I could see Savion stepping in and getting into that D-line rotation early. This is got to be also, too, one of the... You could tell, like, ever since he came here and committed, watching his tapes, another, again, physically gifted kid. Again, it was a one-on-one, it's in your own practice, but still, he put, like, 3 of his offensive linemen on their backs on one-on-one drills. So, you know, get it, you know those guys. But if you're still doing that, that shows you're still strong. You're still kind of gifted right there at D-line. And I can't wait to see what Savion does. I kind of got some high hopes for him, some high expectations. And I see a lot. This kid's going to have a bright future, you know. He knows what he wants. He's ready to work. And that's what I love about, like, him and everybody in this signing class. They're all ready to come in and work. They don't want, like, just the starting spots handed to them or playing time gifted to them. They all want to come in and earn that, and they want to help bring Tennessee back to its prominence, that what we used to be. And that's what makes me so happy about kids like that. Next up, we got offensive lineman, offensive guard, 6'3", 315-pounder, Melvin McBride out of Tennessee. Almost said Nashville. I meant Memphis, Tennessee, Whitehaven High School. But yeah, again, getting an in-state kid like this on the line is good. And if you've noticed, every lineman I've said are massive human beings. So Pruitt has really built up this O-line class with thick kids who are ready to come in and work. And Melvin, you know, seems to me like he's kind of maybe skated under the radar a little bit at linemen, you know. You get a kid his size. Again, I think he's also one of those who hasn't maybe been playing football as long as all the others. But, you know, he's definitely a gifted kid. And I cannot wait to see what Melvin does. So with McBride coming in, again, another good offensive guard. Another guy to help push guys like Jameer Johnson, Jerome Carvin, Nathan Niehaus, all of them. And all of our other offensive guards. To see where they can go and make them develop even to better players. So, I literally can't wait to see what McBride does. I think, again, keeping another in-state kid like this in, that's good. I mean, you know, like they say, you got to start with Tennessee. We may not have hit the state of Tennessee as hard this year, with signing-wise, but we got 9 players, if I'm not mistaken, out of the state of Georgia. So we hit another good recruiting ground, and it was all from like that Atlanta area. But other than that, yeah, I'm still happy with keeping in-state kids, and I'm still happy with the guy we signed out of him. Next up, we got Aaron Beasley, Franklin, Georgia, Heard County. Aaron could play running back. He could play safety. 6'1", 210. Some people say he's around up. The biggest he's gotten is almost like 220. In my opinion, if you play safety at like 220 and you're that good, like you're as physical as him, he has a chance almost, as somebody would say, knock somebody's head off. Beasley is a strong kid. I was lucky enough to be able to live stream his high school state championship game and watch it. Kid's a beast. He could jump over and play running back too if the Vols need him there, but I know Coach Pruitt wants to start him out at safety, and a kid his size helping out, that's going to be good for the backfield because we're adding like strength there, we're adding a lot of muscle, and we're adding a lot of guys who are going to compete for early playing time and physicality up there. So Pruitt's showing no spots are safe anymore on starting lineups. You got to really beat out everybody and be the best there is, and I can't wait to see what Aaron does here. I think he's going to be one of those that could potentially be a good safety of the future, kind of like with Melvin on the O-line, Those are going to be guys for, maybe not make as big of a splash their freshman campaign. I really hope they both can snag some red shirts like a lot of the guys in this class. I would love to see red shirt a handful of them. And then now with the red shirt rule, they can play up to 4 games while maintaining that red shirt. And just, so they are used to the college speed and have experience in game. So I can't wait to see what Beasley does. Next up, we got Elijah Simmons, Nashville, Tennessee, Pearl-Cohn High School. Big boy. Defensive tackle, set to play nose tackle, 6 foot, 350 pounds. And yes, he is a massive human being. I saw a recruiting photo of him with a sledgehammer and chains around him. You don't want to mess with that boy, it looked like. Heck, and I know Pruitt and them want to get him down to about 320s. But still, it was off an alley-oop. He still was able to kind of dunk the basketball on it, help make an alley-oop with it, and he can still grab rim at 350 pounds. So that shows this kid is an athlete, and he's got some he's just one of those athletic kids who knows how to carry that weight he has on him right now. So I can't wait to see what Elijah does here, helping out on the D-line. He's going to be able to plug up some of those holes and help out our linebacker core, so there's not the O-lines aren't making as many holes for guys to run through. He'll be able to help stop those holes in the middle. Next up, out of East Mississippi Community College, former, really out of Oak Ridge, Tennessee, Darrell Middleton, defensive tackle, 6'6", 290-pounder, who is another guy who could play end. A very big physical end right there. Used to play tight end in high school. And now, with Darrell, I think you see him as a good end right there. He's bulked up enough. And, again, an in-state boy who used to play tight end, originally committed to Tennessee, but then went JUCO due to, circumstances we all never know about. But then, and now he's set to come back and play here for Rocky Top. I can't wait to see what he does along that D-line, and I think he could edge out and potentially crack the starting lineup, even though he's not on campus now. Just, him having the JUCO experience and that size, he's going to be pushing for playing time, and he's, I think, they said one of those JUCO guys. Him and Savion both have 3 years, if I'm not mistaken, as the JUCO guys we signed. So I can't wait to see what we do with him. Next up, we got Cosa High School, Sean Brown from Rome, Georgia, 6'5", 250-pound tight end. A massive tight end, great pass catcher, great blocking ability. Sean is probably one of the most underrated guys And I literally cannot wait to see this kid. Adding a guy with his frame into that tight end room, I think that's good, you know. When we got his commitment, another guy who never seemed to waver off that Vol commit. He was ready to come. You see him recruiting for Rocky Top. He's like, come on, come play with me. Come play with me at Tennessee. You know, he was one of those guys who you could tell, like everybody, bought into Coach Pruitt very, very early on in the recruiting process, and they all want to be a part of something special here. So getting Sean here at tight end, I think that's going to help out, like, you know, guys like Dominic Wood-Anderson out a lot, Latrell Bumpus, Austin Pope, and, you know, him and Jackson Lowe coming in helping those guys out. And then even Jacob Warren, who is on campus too, you know, from last year's signing class. You're going to start getting that good competitive depth at tight end that you want to see. Next up, you got one of the guys who really skated under the radar for a lot of schools, Lovejoy High School in Hampton, Georgia. Jared Means, wide receiver, 6'2", 6'3", depending on who you ask, 215 pounds. Not many receivers his size. Good athlete, knows how to high point the ball, really is good at getting the ball in his hands. He's one of those physical guys who, again, you put him in a one-on-one matchup against like a 6 foot, 180-pound corner, he'll probably be able to outmuscle them. And plus, not many guys you see, I forgot what they clocked him at when he came to camp here. I wish I remembered on the top of my head. I think they said it was like 4.45, 4.46. Still, not many guys you see his size being able to have that kind of burst of speed. But still, I think he really skated under the radar, and I'm so glad we were able to get Means here, you know. And I just can't wait to see what he does, you know. He's going to be one of those, kind of like what I said about Cedric Tillman last year, one of the prospects of the future, you know, that you could see develop into something special at UT. And just getting him with a guy like, really, T. Martin, that's going to help him a lot. All right, now to wrap this up a little bit, I got two more guys to talk about, and I will go through them kind of quicker. We have two defensive backs that are set to be blue shirt candidates. Anthony Harris, Havelock, North Carolina. Havelock High School, safety, 6'2", 175 pounds. And Kenny Solomon, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, a corner, a 6 foot, 170-pound corner. Anthony was a 4-star. Kenny is a 3-star, just in case anybody wanted to know. Sorry if I didn't name all the stars for the guys. But yeah, no, with both those guys, they are set to be the blue shirt candidates for Tennessee, which, you know, it's good to be able to get guys like them. Anthony played quarterback in high school, but also played safety at the Shrine Bowl, and was playing very great for North Carolina Shrine Bowl practices, and even played a good game in it right there. He is literally listed as one of the top safeties in the nation for a reason, because he is just that gifted. He is a player. He is like a good football player, good mentality on him, and plus where he played quarterback and he's also played safety, kind of like, you know, what Jennings did, but he wants to play safety in college a bit. He knows what quarterbacks do, so he knows where to watch for the quarterbacks. He knows what to do. So that's something really good about Anthony Harris, and I cannot wait to get him. And with Kenny Solomon, like I said, the corner, a 4.36 40. Yeah, he's one of those who you could say possibly skated under the radar too. Not many corners with his speed either. That's a fast kid right there. And you put him with Pruitt and Terry Fair. Pruitt, who knows his DBs, and Terry Fair, who's the corners coach, who will be able to help him. You're looking at a kid who's going to be able to really push all of them, like Tyus, Burrell, you know, Alante, Bryce, all of our corners for those spots. It's like to keep their area. But, you know, just that's what I know the coaches loved about him, is his speed, and that's what I love about him. And like I said, they love Harris. He's just an athlete. He's a gifted football player, and that's what I love about him. And, you know, being able to, like, get guys like them here, it's going to be something good Tennessee's defensive backfield needs, because Anthony Harris, you probably could play at nickel as well. But, so, you know, I'm excited for all the kids who have are set to join Tennessee's football program this summer if they're not already here. But again, so that is the wrap-up of the 2019 signing class. Now Tennessee starts getting to look forward to the 2020 signing class. And don't worry, next year I will be back with another video like this after the day after or a few days after signing day. Depending on school schedule, I just had free time right now to do this. But again, thank you everybody so much for tuning in. If you stayed for the whole video, or if you had to watch it in parts, I don't blame you. But that was Tennessee football's 2019 signing class, plus with the 2 transfers we took in. And so, you know, big props to all these guys coming in ready to help change the culture. I'm excited. A lot of these kids got me excited, you know, to see what's in store for Tennessee football. And, you know, it's just, I'm glad these guys wanted to come be a part of Rocky Top, you know. I think this class has a potential to be a special group of kids. And I'm just ready to see what they do and how they get developed. And again, I know I've repeated myself a lot, but thank you everybody for watching. If you have not, please hit that thumbs up button. Please hit that subscribe button if you are new and want to check out some of my videos, even though I don't post a lot. Also, I do broadcast on Younow every now and then. I'm going to try to get back into that. Find me on there, TheAwkwardginger, same as my username on here, unless it still says Summer 2068. Then it's still TheAwkwardginger on Younow.com, where I can do live streams, hang out, and then also follow me on Twitter and Instagram. They will both be possible. I think they're in my description. They should be in the description below. If not, they're on my profile, or just follow me on Twitter and Instagram, TMcB13. And yeah. But again, thank you everybody for taking the time to watch this. I hope everybody has a great day, and go Vols!